What's up, guys? Shockwave640 here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Razorclaw. And here she is, and I also have to kind of make a little bit of apology here. First of all, sorry if you hear like talking stuff in the background, because my family is here at the time, so excuse that if you do hear it. And also, sorry, I was having some troubles trying to upload a video. It wasn't this video, it was a previous video for another Gunpla model review, but it wasn't turning out very well for me, so I just had to delete it, and I'm going to have to try to re-record it later on. So here is my makeup video. I am going to do more videos than I did last week. I'm just going to try. I did 4 videos last week, I think, or the week before that. I was only able to do 1 video last week because of that issue. So, without further ado, here she is. So, here is Razorclaw, and she turns into a dragon, of course. But how about first of all, instead of taking a look at her details, how about we do some size comparisons here? So first of all, we have the Transformers Combiner Wars. I think it's Air Raid. I think that's his name, if I'm not mistaken. But here's Air Raid in his vehicle mode. So he stands a little bit shorter than Razorclaw there, just by her tail alone. But according to her head and her wings, he does stand taller. So there's that. By the nose cone, obviously, it would be the same thing. So that is the vehicle mode. Since this is her alternate mode, that is the vehicle mode comparison. And now let's do an actual robot mode comparison compared to her beast mode. And here we have Combiner Wars Mirage. And Mirage, same thing, he stands a little bit taller, but her tail does make her taller. So there's that. And here we have the Hasbro Constructbots Soundwave. Soundwave stands much taller because he's a much bigger figure. I will review the Constructbots that I do own later on, of course, but there's that. He does stand taller, of course. So setting him off to the side. And then here we have the Transformers Prime. I think they're Legends class or not Commander class, some kind of class. You know what the class is, but if you do know, tell me. Here is Abominus. So there's Abominus. They obviously aren't the same scale figures, but there's Abominus if you do have him, or you do have the components to make him. And he stands a little bit shorter than the tail there if you have the little foot spikes up. If you have them down, he stands a little bit shorter than what he would normally be. And I will also be reviewing him later on. He is a fun figure. And here she is with the real grade Zagok model kit. This is another Gundam model. This isn't technically a Gundam, but made by the same company, comes from the same anime. So there's that if you want to see that. He stands a little bit taller there, just at the dome there. Obviously, these wouldn't be the same scale either, because this would actually be much, much, much bigger. As in, this thing stands about 15 meters tall, and she probably stands about 6 or 7 meters tall, I assume. So setting that off to the side, and now let's actually get here and look at some of the details. So here you have her head sculpt. Really nice head sculpt. The top of the head here is made out of rubber, which I do fear might end up breaking in there, but that can open and close. Nice orange paint there on the eyes and yellow paint right here on the head. Nothing in the mouth except for that red plastic that you see on the inside, where she actually has a tongue molded in there, if you can see that. Then you get this nice metallic here on the bottom, and for some reason the bottom of the chin is red, which I just now noticed. Then you go down to her neck here, and it's like this teal plastic with a little bit of yellow kind of swirled around in there. You have like this goldish brown, almost like a tan, kind of like a gold and tan mixed up at the same time. Then you have this nice like blood red or like maroon, I think is what the color is properly called, with a little bit of a like darker swirls going inside, similar to the neck, but it's not yellow clearly. And then you have that same red plastic, except not any swirling going on here in the chest. And then you have that same color right there. Right there, you have the printed Predacon logo. Here you have some teal upper arms, same red at the elbow. A nice metallic plastic here on the forearms. And then here on the feet, it's actually that same blue plastic used up here, I do believe. No, it's got a texture to it, so it's I'm not sure which plastic was actually used. I think it's this part or tail, but I don't really know. It might just be the paint that has the texture, but it's actually the blue plastic with a little bit of that paint used also on the eyes right there on the feet. Then you can clearly see her robot mode fingers poking out there, but it doesn't bother me too much. And then her hand covers do make little heel spurs, and then there's the little spikes and the spike there. Moving on to her rib cage there, you can kind of see this got the same thing going on with the neck. And then here you have the same plastic used here on the forearms right there with a little bit of yellow paint. Here you have a blue piece of plastic, same as the rib cage and the neck, with gray paint there. Here you have the same plastic used on those neck spikes and the hands. And then you have the red plastic with that same goldish paint there. And then you have the heel spurs, of course, which she does stand pretty well, actually. Close her mouth there for a second. And then here you have the tail with the brownish plastic there, and her main body is also done in that red, and you can see a little bit of gray peeping through, which is mainly for robot mode. And then you have the same swirly plastic used in the neck, rib cage, and in the knees, going all the way along here. And then here on the claw weapon, you do have like that brownish gold paint going across there. I think this plastic here is the same metallic plastic used on the forearms, I do believe. Then you have that same red plastic, which is a little bit lighter. And the gimmick here, you can open her claw, it locks into place, and if you press that spike right there, that little goldish spike, it closes back. So it does it really, really fast too. The only downside to this is it can't really hold much. I mean, so far the best thing I've been able to get it to hold barely is one of those little guys that make up the Abominus figure, but it's still very cool. And let's get that off. Actually, it does peg on using the handle right there, and it just goes through the toll. Why does the tongue always got to do this in these reviews? But it does peg on just using that handle there, and goes right through that hole. And then there's her tail without it. On the inside of the tail, there's a piece of rubber, so you can kind of get some posability out of it. So not really. It's kind of just stuck in this pose in all reality. And then you can move it up and down on this hinge here. More for transformation, actually, but it can do it. The wings do flap. They go down about that low. They go up about that high, which is pretty much a little bit more than enough, actually. The dragon head is on a ball joint, but you can't really... This is as far as it'll look up, which is basically straight. Look down pretty well for transformation, of course. And the head does rotate a full 360. Just be wary of these spikes there. You don't want to accidentally snap them off. Not saying they're fragile or anything, but just to be safe. You do have a little hinge in there for transformation, and that can allow the arm to go up and down. Shoulders on a ball joint, so the arms can go out about that far. They can go in about that far. You do have a little swivel here below the elbow. Then you have the actual elbow, which bends about 90. And then you have a little bit of a pivot there at the foot. And then you also have a waist joint for robot mode mainly, but it can possibly be used for something in dinosaur mode, dragon mode. And then here you have a joint at the robot mode knee, which is the first knee of the dragon. And that can go out about that far and bend about that far. You have this joint, which can only go out about that far and this far, so that would be the second knee. And then you have the ball jointed foot / ankle, and you can get some kind of pivots out of that. You can get some pivots out of that, and also some rotation since it is on a ball joint. But there's her dragon mode. It's kind of a little wonky here, and she is difficult to stand. Sorry about that. You hear some barking in the background, but there's that. So okay, let's get down to transformation. Sorry, I was thinking there for a second. So to transform her, you want to get her arms up and out of the way, kind of like that. You want to grab her rib cage and split it open, pull it to the back against the wings like so. Then you want to grab her waist and push it down like that so it clicks into place. Come down to her feet. You want to straighten that. Flip this part up. It tabs right into those sections there where my fingernail is, using those two little tabs. And then you want to bring this down on that secondary hinge where the knee is, and you want to align it properly with this. And those same two tabs will tab in right in that slot right there that you can kind of see where my finger is. So pushing that down creates the robot mode leg. So it goes from that to that. So do the same here. Untab that, bring it down, close it up, like so. And you straighten out her legs. Here on the arms, it's pretty easy. You just want to bring this whole entire section up, fold it down, fold out the hand, and rotate the arm to be oriented properly. Do the same on the other side. Push that, push it down, fold it down, rotate this. And here you have a weird dragon mode kind of thing. What you want to do here is you want to kind of spread the wings out. I'm going to open up the neck, revealing her head. Kind of fold these down, go down like shoulder pads. Come to the back here where the dragon head is. Here in this joint, it will fold back, go like this, using that secondary joint right there to accordion this up and fold it against her back like that. And then you can close these wings back if you wish. And then you can go here, the shoulder pads are, put the arms back up, or you can keep them down low, whichever you prefer, because this is a female character, so you can either choose to leave them up or leave them down. Just kind of get her standing, use her tail to help her stand, because she's very back heavy due to those wings there. And here you have Razorclaw in her robot mode. So let's do a few size comparisons with the same figures for her robot mode. Here is Mirage. Mirage is a little bit taller by the head, but her wings do make her taller. So there's that. Bringing back in Abominus. Abominus is shorter by the head, but he's taller with those little claws. I actually do believe, you can't really tell here, but he's actually a little bit taller with those claws up there. But if he just had the fists poking out, he would be shorter because of Razorclaw's wings, of course. Here's the Zagok. As you can see, the Zagok is actually shorter than her now, just because of the wings. By the head, they're actually about the same. If you count the shoulder pads, actual head, well, this thing is its head. It is a little bit taller, just barely. And bringing in Soundwave, of course, he's going to be much taller. So there you can see she goes about to his, like, right above his crotch. So there is that. So now let's get in and look at some of these details that were revealed in robot mode. So looking at her head sculpt, a very, very wicked looking head sculpt. I do like that head sculpt. On the inside, you can see here, she actually does have molded in eyes. They're done in red plastic. And a little, like, laser cannon or speaker or something in her mouth. So that's very cool. I do usually like to keep her head tucked down like that. It just looks better to me. But you can get the head to be sticking out that much. Because I do like this kind of, like, scarf looking thing that she has. A little bit of yellow paint revealed there next to her head. You do get that whole chest thing. You can see the gray revealed there. See her obviously feminine waist there. There's a little bit gappy right there where the knee is, but I can see why, because for transformation wise, the leg wouldn't have been right if it wasn't like that. And she wouldn't have these cool looking knee spikes if it didn't do that. Yeah, pretty much all the same things carry over. If you don't like these like weird dinosaur kind of looking feet, what you can do if you really want to is you can rotate these and give her like these one-toed kind of things. Or if you really, really wanted to, you can try to cut off that toe. I don't know how well she would stand in dragon mode, but robot mode she'd stand pretty fine because of that tail there. But you could do that, and then you would have that ball joint showing, but you could also take some red paint to that ball joint, or some blue paint, or any other color paint. Probably some yellow would look nice, because it would give a little bit more yellow to the look. But there is that choice if you do want it. The instructions and the picture on the back of the box do show her with her feet like this. So articulation's pretty much the same. Her head is on a ball joint, but you can't really get much out of it because it's kind of sunk in there. So side, you're not really going to get much. Down, you get quite a bit. And up, nothing. She's just looking forward, much like her dragon head. These shoulder pads are on a hinge here and a hinge here for transformation. So they can go up about that high to get out of the way. Her arms still only go out about that much, so they don't really need all this articulation in the shoulder pads, honestly. You still have the same rotation, the same elbow joint, but now you get this kind of little swivel here in the hand. The hips are still ball jointed. You do have that swivel here, which I didn't show in dragon mode, but it does work in dragon mode, which kind of reveals that nice piece of red there. The knees can bend about 90, and then you still have the ball jointed foot. Let's see what else. The tail's still the same, so is that nice swivel, but the weight of her tail does kind of weigh her down. I'm not sure if that's just for being so old and played with a lot whenever I was a little bit younger, but that is, my tail is just a little bit loose, so it may just be my product, but I don't really care because it helped her stand much better. And the wings, of course, still do flap. I usually like to keep them out like this, but if you want her to have a more sleek design, you can keep them folded back. And now getting to her weapon, of course, which is this claw. You can just put this into her hand, and she can kind of use it. You could pretend it was a gun, I guess. I mean, you could open that and pretend that it would like fire missiles out of these little trapezoid shapes there, so that can be like used as a gun. But what I like to do is I like to rotate her arm like this, so where she gets like this joint there where her hand is, the joint there where the actual claw connects, and the joint where her elbow is. So it's kind of like a tentacle claw arm in a way. So in robot mode, I have her usually posed kind of like this on my shelf and just have her head tucked down like that. I don't know. I just like the way that looks. I think it looks cool. And then if you really wanted to, another weapon choice is you can kind of flip these up. And you can, I guess you can have claws maybe. You can kind of rotate her hand like this and just have like a claw weapon. It kind of looks weird because of those hands just kind of peeping out there. But yeah, it's a possibility you can do. I mean, playability options for kids, you know? Well, guys, there is the Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Razorclaw. My opinion, I say pick her up. She's a really cool figure and much better than some of the other deluxe class dragons that they came out with in that wave. Well, to me, anyways, I only have 2 of them, so I can't really say for the third one. I do believe there's 3. But so I say pick her up. She's really cool. Really, I love dragons, so of course I'm going to be kind of biased on my opinion, but I'm trying not to be. Articulation, it could be a little bit better, but it is a slightly older figure, I guess you could say, as of last year, the year before that. But for deluxe class, she's good. I wish the tail didn't have that stupid rubber thing. I wish they were just tight ball joints. I think that would have been much better, but the rubber helps. So that's that. I mean, there's not really much else to say about her. She's a really good figure. So I say pick her up. Well, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Tell me what you think. What you think about this figure. Well, I guess I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.